All right, there we go. Thank you, Jamie. We have all the way to the bottom of the hour news. Let's jump on board. Boy, we have some dear friends in studio with us today. And I'm going to lead off with Brother Bobby Cavaco, president of SHOPO. Brother, it's so good to see you back in studio again. Just get caught up. How you been?
Great to see you too, Rick, on this June 30th, which is the midpoint of 2025. Time is really flying by fast.
Man, oh man. Thank goodness we're getting younger. I rather subtract than add when it comes to years. But it's so good to see you, bro.
It's great to see you.
So good.
Great to be here.
Brother Steve, good morning to you.
Rick, good morning, brother. Thank you for having us. Always happy and grateful to be here with you and your listeners.
And we're delighted that you're with us as well. Why don't you turn that over to Brother Mark for a moment and just get a hey, hi. Brother Mark, how you?
Monday, Rick. How we
you.
doing?
Not bad. Cubs are on a roll, man.
I know. You must be a happy camper.
Yeah, Giants are on a slide. So
are the Yankees, so
yeah,
don't worry about it.
Won't talk about that. No, glad you're with us,
Yep.
as always. Brother Nick, aloha to you. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Thanks for having us. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you so much for that, indeed. And I'm going to turn it over to Brother Bobby Cavaco. We have a very special guest in studio today, and I'd like for you to do the introductions, if you would, please.
Yeah, we have a very special guest. He's Ken Silva, who is the chair of the Honolulu Police Commission. And Ken is a retired chief from HFD, and we're happy that he's in the position he is. We feel that he needs to do what he needs to do at the commission in order to have oversight of the chief of police and part of the department.
There's been a lot that's been swirling about, and that's why I'm so glad you're with us, Ken. Before we start, I just want to give a heartfelt condolences to those fire. Oh God, it really just irks me so bad in Idaho that were victimized, lives lost at the hands of an evil individual. So heart goes out to the members in Idaho and, of course, to our men and women here at home. On that note, though, want to welcome you. Wish you a very good morning.
Hey, Rick, thanks so much. Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to be back. I'm just glad that I was invited by SHOPO. Of course, the reason that I'm in the position that I am is because I have so much respect for our brothers and sisters in blue. I had an opportunity in my former life, my working life, to work shoulder to shoulder with them for many, many years.
Mm-hmm. Just a little background about yourself so people might get to know you a little bit better. If I'm not mistaken, grad Kamehameha and UH, I believe, a couple different degrees, yes?
Yeah, so I went to Kamehameha, proud graduate, 13 years, my goodness. I went to UH, got my bachelor's and my master's degree. Had a great time there.
Awesome. I think it was February of 22 that you were named by Mayor Rick to the Police Commission as a commissioner and now as chair of the Honolulu Police Commission. If you could sum up for us, Ken, succinctly, what is the Honolulu Police Commission?
So we have some major responsibilities for the commission, and I think one of the things that's really important to know is that we try to take the politics out of a position that really shouldn't have it, and that's the chief of police office. So we provide oversight over the chief. We hire, we fire, we evaluate on an annual basis. We give our guidance. The best thing about a commission, there's 7 of them, and for those that do get involved, it's a heavy lift. You put a lot of time, a lot of energy into it, and I know that my fellow commissioners, the ones that are there's a great variety of experience and knowledge and skills. So I'm really happy to work with all of them.
Thank you for that very much. How were you approached, and what was explained to you about service on the commission via Mayor Rick?
So I've known the mayor off and on for quite a bit of time. I've respected him in his various roles, all the way from being a coach to being a professional in the business community, and then doing a great job as the mayor of our community. he said, "Hey, I need a little bit of help. I'm wondering if you have some time and you would do it." And because the mayor had asked, of course, I drop whatever I have to help out.
The Honolulu Police Commission and the relationship with SHOPO. How would you describe it?
I think, with my tenure now, I'd like to make sure that we have a better dialogue. I think it's good that we understand where each other is coming from. I mean, we all want the department to go in a positive direction, and the more that we communicate on a regular basis, in Hawaii, it's all about relationships. So I want to make sure that, at least during my tenure as chair, that I can build that more.
I'm going to turn it over to Bobby, Steve, Mark, and Nick. Thoughts about Ken, his commentary about the police commission, the relationship with SHOPO. How would you describe it? And then we'll dive into some of the specific news items that are before us. Steve, I'll start with you, if you don't mind, please.
Sure. Ken, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate you being here. I think it's important for your listeners to know that the commissioners volunteer their time to do that. They're not compensated, and I'd like to believe, as not only a police officer but someone that lives in the community, that everybody on the commission is there for the right reasons. I think they have a challenging job. Battalion chief, right, Ken? You retired as a battalion chief. Is that the title? Or
Fire chief.
Fire chief. So I'm happy that, and as Ken was alluding to, I think the commissioners come from different backgrounds. As a first responder, I think it's critical, and I'm happy that with the commission we do have a first responder that's in the lead chair. I think everybody brings a little something to the table. I am hoping, and I've said this on the program, so is Nick, we need in Honolulu County to get a chief that's going to come in and do great things. So I'm really looking forward to the commission's work, and I know Bobby has said many times that SHOPO is here to work with the commission in any ways, and I'm just happy as a cop and also being on the SHOPO board that we have the president of SHOPO and the chair, the boss of the police commission here together in studio, and they have a relationship and they're building that, so that's important.
I'm going to go to Mark, if you wouldn't mind, your thoughts, and then to Brother Nick.
Morning, Chief. Thank you for being here. And thanks for your service to the community. I mean, you put a lot of years in, and he's still serving, But when I heard he was appointed to the police commission, I was kind of elated about that, because majority of the police commission will either be CEOs, lawyers, and they really don't have any idea of what the first responder really does. And here you got a guy that's been in the thick of it. So I really commend you for being on the commission. And Chief, does that help for you explaining to the other people in the commission about first responder responsibilities?
I think absolutely. I think it's twofold. One is that being a first responder, having been a first responder, can give them more reality check on how things are. But the other thing is, being a department head, I can also speak into a lot of the things that if you're in the private sector, you may not understand about government.
Well, that includes me, I'm afraid. Brother Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair, for being here today. We really appreciate it. I share Major's sentiment on that. I appreciate the fact that a former city administrator who was a first responder is part of the police commission at this time. One of the biggest questions that we get from our membership in Honolulu is, where is the former law enforcement aspect on that panel? And it goes without saying that we have business people, we have people who are lawyers, former corporation counsel, and Chair Silva is the next best thing, I think, to having a police officer on there. So we definitely appreciate it, and having conversations with him about nuances within the county, within the way that the fire department and the police department work. It's clearly obvious to us that although we may have different opinions or disagree at times, he certainly understands what the role of the police department is in city administration, how important it is to the security of our communities. And in that respect, I think we have a good relationship.
On that note, Brother Bobby, I'm going to turn to you and the relationship as president to chair. Could you comment on that? And then also the police commission's role in the day-to-day lives of our officers. How would you frame that?
Well, for the first question, I think our relationship is a very good one. I think we have good communication to where if there's issues or anything that comes up, I'm able to reach out to Ken and have good dialogue, give information, take information, share perspectives, and then, move forward. As far as the police commission itself, what the charter says is the commission cannot get into the daily functions or the daily operations of the police department itself. So that does kind of tie the commission's hands as far as how, what their duties and responsibilities are. But basically, they hire, fire, discipline the police chief, and then they also adjudicate complaints that are filed on our members, in the situations, when they're on the road, and then they adjudicate those complaints. So, for the commission itself, they do have a very, very big responsibility. And as far as oversight, there's only so far that they can really tell the chief of police, what to do. That's really something that it's the chief's prerogative, and the commission can give their comment and perspective, but as far as direction and whatnot, that's not what their responsibilities are currently.
But the AOR is rather broad, Ken, including, I believe, you have a role in the budget for the chief.
So what we can do is we review the upcoming budget, and we can make recommendations on that. We can also advocate for items that they're looking to increase in their budget as well.
Mm-hmm. So that said, it is already 7:22 in the morning. I want to jump into some of the salient points that have emerged. And clearly, first and foremost, was the resignation of Chief Joe Logan. And there is a swirl of information out in the public of when and why and where and who, but ultimately, Chief did submit his resignation. How did you learn of the chief's resignation? Did he communicate with you directly? Was it with the entire commission? Was there any foreknowledge that perhaps a resignation was forthcoming?
Well, just to I'm thinking back on exactly how everything transpired. I know that there was a push and pull in the relationship between the mayor and our police chief. I didn't realize to what extent that existed. But I found out actually after Chief Logan had got out of the meeting. When he got out of the meeting where he submitted his resignation, he had texted me, and I had called him right back, and he had told me what happened. And then everything just kind of unfolded after that.
And what was everything that happened?
Well, we saw the media take a hold of that, and then we were watching on, social media as well as on the news stations, and they had a press conference, and so all of that kind of happened pretty quickly.
So once that resignation was accepted, what procedurally happened next with the commission?
Well, I notified our commissioners what had happened, and then I had told them that because everything happened so quickly, and with sunshine laws, we didn't have that opportunity when we submitted our agenda for our next meeting to actually have that on the meeting. So we really couldn't talk about it. And that was that 800-pound gorilla in the room. Mm-hmm. But we made it clear that we're not talking about it because it's not on our agenda. Right. And then the following meeting, then we had spoke about it.
What was the reaction of other commissioners?
I think it, for the most part, we've always appreciated our relationship with Chief Logan. We're right on the front end of his annual evaluation, and we're going through that. So we're kind of taken aback by everything. But I think that for the most part, the commission had always been supportive of him. You know, I'll say that for any chief that had come on after the previous two administrations had gone through whatever rough spots they had, they would have been in a tough spot. So I think, you know, for that, the chief, whether it was him or anybody else that was selected, they would have been in a very difficult position. And here we are again. We're in a difficult position, maybe even more so, because we've gone through 3 administrations. And, you know, I feel for the men and women in the department, uniformed and civilian, because as being a former head of a department, you want some stability, you want some direction. And that's kind of what I think maybe right now is lacking.
Understand. Thank you for that, Ken. Thank you indeed. Turn it over to the fellas. We're at 7:26 in the morning. Thoughts, comments, insights, anything you'd like to share before we continue?
One thing, Chief, what do you think? Do you think the sunshine laws should be amended? Because, look, this was a really important situation, and you guys couldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of a little messed up right there, right?
Well, there is, if there's an exception that's submitted and I get it. Yeah. I'm a big fan of sunshine, and the more sunshine, the better. Yeah. But I do understand procedurally that it can be a challenge, like in this particular case. Right. If there's, I don't know if there could be a petition to say, hey, we have an emergency or an extraordinary circumstance. We need to, not sure. To be honest, I don't think there is. Yeah. But to your point, yeah. Bobby, thoughts so far?
No, I just want to reiterate the task, the monumental task, moving forward. Because the process was long the last time, the commissions, they're going to be under a tremendous amount of pressure to not only make a decision and get this thing, done soon, but, to make the right decision who they feel is the right person to lead the department. So I do commend them on the commission for taking the position, because it is a tough job. It's non-compensable and volunteering your time. So we definitely respect that.
Is Chief Joe's service, has it come to an end?
So I think the way that I understand it, the everyday direction for the department is going to come July 1st. I think Chief is going to be on leave. He's burning some of the time that he has. I think he's separated from service actually at the end of July and starts retirement on August 1st. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have an interim that's going to be in place now, Chief Roddy Vanek.
Okay, so technically he would be still in service until the end of July, but because of accumulated time, etc., his service has come to an end functionally, and we have the appointment. If I could ask, just as a layperson, when did the request for applications, when were they accepted, and what was the window in which the commission received applications for the interim chief?
Sure. So you asking me to work off of memory, which is never a good thing.
That's okay. I don't do math, so I'm not bringing up any numbers.
But I did have some coffee this morning, so maybe I can remember. It was a pretty short window. We had actually announced that we were going to be taking applications, cover letters, and resumes, and then we did have a close-by date. If I remember correctly, the close-by date was the 8th of this month. So it was a pretty short window. And then we went through the process pretty quickly. And actually what the commission ended up doing in open session was we kind of reverted to the process that was in place already, which meant that we could, even though we heard a little statement from all of the 8 people that had an interest in that position, we ended up going with taking somebody from within, which was Chief Vanek. And so that's how he became the interim chief.
Okay, from perspective, Roddy was interim during the search which brought us Chief Joe. During that period of time, there seemed to be a bit, I don't want to say inertia, but it just seemed it was more a stewardship of the position and the department. And now with the opportunity to name an interim chief with incredibly urgent and important issues before the department, I'm curious as to why Rade again after his performance in the first interim, and commentary on other applicants, which perhaps may have given a little kickstart or some fresh blood even in the interim position.
I think that's a really good question. So, in a lot of ways, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I think what the commission felt was that what the department didn't need was to have somebody from the outside come in, no matter how qualified they may be, and then they are going to try to get up to speed on what the existing direction is, which is the strategic plan, not understanding it because they're from the outside. That's the plan that's in place, and that's what they're working off of. So they'd have to get up to speed on that. And the window, we're hoping 6 months, 9 months maybe. We're being optimistic on getting a permanent chief in place. And then right after that, then you get another person. So there would be series of changes, for the department. Whereas if you had somebody that was in place already, that understood what the direction of the department was or is, especially in regards to what the existing issues were, and then following the strategic plan, that seemed the path that made the most sense for us.
It seemed, and again, it seemed that the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back was the administration with Chief Joe returning funding that was unused while we're facing an incredible shortfall of personnel, staving off not only retirements, but encouraging to continue to serve. It just seems that was a very focus. So what happens in the interim? If we have 6 months, maybe up to a year again, that period of time with such urgency, I'm not sure how this is going to work.
Yeah, I'll speak just directly to that whole budget. I'll call it a talking point.
Okay.
Having been a department head, I wish it was just as easy to be able to spend whatever money we have. So it's important to know that every department has a budget analyst that's assigned to them from Budget and Fiscal Services. Mm-hmm. And I can 100% guarantee every department wants to spend the money, all the money that they can. There may be issues related to procurement that's taking longer than necessary. You have categories in your budget that it's not as easy as moving from A to B and B to C. It doesn't work that way. That's not how government budgeting works. But there is a process, so you need to jump on it early. I think from the commission standpoint, we're asking for continuous follow-up on where our budget is. And the main thing is that we're not lapsing funds that could be utilized. I think that was the crux of what the point was. If you have money that's available, to the degree that's possible, make sure that you can effectively and efficiently use all of those funds.
Gotcha. We're already at 7:34 in the morning, but I want to stay on this line, and I'd like to invite Brother Nick to give some thoughts on this particular issue, and we'll take our bottom of the hour break.
The issue being the return of the money?
Yeah.
Sure. Top of mind to all of the members in Honolulu. I think the other members in the other counties would look at it as well. When you're talking about 461 vacancies, a shortage of equipment, a shortage of civilian staff, a shortage of dispatchers, the question, and it's a fair one, is could this money have been rerouted in ways to be able to make up for these deficiencies? I don't believe in throwing money at a problem and making it instantly go away. I know that's not possible. I think we can all agree on that. But at the same time, that is a large chunk of money. It's one of the largest figures we've ever heard the Honolulu Police Department give back from a fiscal year ever. And when asked what happened, I don't think that the membership of the public is really getting a fair answer on it, which is sort of a brush off, and that doesn't work well at all.
Understand. I want to thank you, Nick. Welcome back, 7:40 in the morning on News Radio 830 KHVH, special edition of the SHOPO Hour. But as always, thank ever so much Brother Bobby, Brother Nick, Brother Mark, weekly or bi-weekly appearances in studio. Brother Bobby with us. Absolutely delighted to connect and to see a dear friend, and thoroughly appreciative that Brother Ken is in studio with us too. This is a unique opportunity, so I want to thank you, gentlemen, for all of this. We talked a little bit about interim chief position. There was a lot of attention paid when it appeared that Ben Moskowitz, former major, former candidate for the chief position, had submitted his resignation as chief of the Big Island Police Department in order to perhaps, or maybe not perhaps, become the interim chief here. That's where the public were kind of going, well, if that happened, this, and then no, but then this. Could you please insight, Ken, as to what transpired regarding Ben Moskowitz?
Well, everything unfolded really quick when Chief Logan had announced his retirement, and then there was a recommendation from Mayor Rick that he was in favor of Ben Moskowitz putting his hat into the ring to be interim. Of course, Ben, when I came onto the commission a while back, he was one of the finalists. When I came onto the commission, I came in when we were down to 4 finalists. He was one of them. Interviewed very well, well qualified, no doubt about that. But I thought it was a little premature, and I think maybe that might have handcuffed Chief Moskowitz in a way, because the process was still unfolding on how the commission was going to select. And it was very clear that the commission has the authority and the responsibility of selecting the interim. And so when we went through that process, he didn't prevail. You know, of course, we talked earlier that Chief Vanek did. So I thought that, you know, it kind of handcuffed him in a couple of ways. And then it may have looked bad for him back home with his own community. So that's something that I think, you know, he's dealing with now.
Was there any, just to say, like behind the scenes communiques in regard to Ben? Because to resign a position as a sitting chief, that's a pretty substantial move. Were you aware of any assurances? Was there any conversation with other commissioners? Did the mayor express that, hey, Ben, come on over, you're going to be all G in the hood? Or anything you could add to this story?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I want to say is people like to think that there's conspiracy theories. There was nothing to that degree on this. We were made aware of the mayor's recommendation, and it was a recommendation, and we appreciate that. We understand his responsibility for the safety of our community, but then he never did in any way pressure the commission to select anyone, Chief Moskowitz or anybody else.
Does this demand a little more clarity or revisitation of the role under the charter for the police commission and their responsibilities? Because Mayor Rick has expressed that he believes it should be in the hands of his office and subsequent mayors.
You know, what I would say is that for anybody, that whether it's a sitting mayor or any other person of interest, when you want to amend the charter, the process is clear to everyone, you know, and you can avail yourself of that. My personal opinion is I think that there's value in keeping the system the way it is now. When I was on the fire side, I had seen both sides of the coin in regards to the selection, retention, and getting rid of a fire chief when we didn't have a commission and when we did have a commission. And when we didn't, it wasn't a very good process.
Love that. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you for that. Turn it over. Fellas, any thoughts, comments, questions, clarifications, anything you'd like to share?
No, I think a lot of great content coming out with Chief Commissioner. He's got a lot of titles, Chief Commissioner Ken. If I could just piggyback to what the Chief Commissioner was saying is, I am empathetic, though, to Mayor Rick as the leader of the city. You know, when things go sideways and there's answers and the public is demanding answers, with all due respect, they're not calling police commissioners individually. They're calling Mayor Rick. And I think what we've seen as a community transfold is you see a mayor of a city that is desperate to get someone to lead the police department. Okay. And you can see that Mayor Rick wants to get a quality person. And again, there's ways the commission is going to select that individual. I also just want to circle back for a minute. I don't think anybody likes to be micromanaged, no matter what job you do. And if you become the chief of police, I think there's a fine line between suggesting and evaluating and telling you how to do something. With respect to the next chief, obviously the commission is there to evaluate, give feedback, do performance evaluations. But at no time do I think a commission that's made up of individuals that don't have any law enforcement experience should tell the chief what to do. And you heard with Chief Commissioner Ken saying, hey, listen, that's not what we're doing. We keep things on track. And that's important because, you know, we need to have people do their jobs. And that circles back to Mayor Rick. If the charter wants to be changed, I believe that has to come to an election. I'm empathetic to Mayor Rick. I understand the benefit of having a commission. I think it's effective because the public can go there and raise concerns about contact they may have had with officers in the course of their duties within a certain period of time. So for that, I think it's important. But again, if you're tasked to lead a city, clearly and surely, if the police department is a department, then you can empathize with Mayor Rick wanting to have a say in it. With that said, the way that it works now, the commission makes that determination. The mayor can say who he wants and what he wants, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the commissioner's decision. And if I may, one other thing. There's people that say we need a commission in case the mayor goes rogue or the chief goes rogue. Well, you know, that's a little doomsday type of thinking, because if that's the case, then we would almost need a commission to evaluate every single leader within the agency. And let's not forget that Mayor Rick is the mayor, but the managing director of the city has a lot of power and authority as well. And we don't necessarily, you know, I just think with commissions, they're effective, they have a role, but we have to let leaders lead. Does that?
No, I get it. But there's a little bit of juxtaposition, if you will, because on the same token, there are claims that, well, you need to have the commission oversee the position of chief to keep it apolitical. However, the appointment of commission members are solely done by the mayor with city council approval.
And there's that.
Yeah.
And there's that. Maybe as a community, we decide that maybe in addition to having the police commission perform a certain role, maybe we incorporate the mayor and the city council. Because let's remember, the mayor was elected by the people. It wasn't like the mayor just showed up. The mayor was elected by the people to lead the city, and I think he should have a say. But with that said, the commission plays a role.
Okay. Bobby, love to hear your thoughts along these lines, and we're already at 7:49 in the morning, world's fastest hour of radio broadcasting. Bobby?
Well, I think it's subject matter that you can kind of look at it from different types of perspectives, because I can see the different perspectives that can be taken on the particular issue. On one end, you don't want a mayor, you don't want it politicized, because if the mayor tells the police chief to do something and the police chief says, no, we're not doing that because it's not what we do, and then the mayor comes in and says you're fired. But then at the other end of the spectrum, you do want the mayor to have perspective or input on who the leader of the police department is, because ultimately the mayor is responsible for public safety. And when there are concerns in the community to which rise to a level where it affects the community by large, and the mayor's office is getting, pummeled with questions and, hey, what's going on with the police department, this and that. Ultimately, he's, the responsible person in the city for it. So just the whole question is how do you bifurcate that and get a better process on how you can get that all to gel in order to make it cohesive.
I'm going to go to Brother Mark for just a moment, then to Brother Nick before our break. Brother Mark, thoughts?
Like Bobby was saying, you look at both sides of it, right? So, like the chief was saying, one of the commission's jobs is to keep the politics out of it, right? And you could see in this instance, or at least the optics are that way, is we're in this mess because of the mayor, right? Or the optics are like that. And to his own admission, he had kind of orchestrated a little bit of this, talking to Moskowitz a couple days before, and this and that. So that's, to the chief's point, is that's why you got to keep the politics out of it, because look at the mess we're in, or the optics of it, right? So, but you got to look at, like they were saying, the mayor is responsible for public safety, but you that's just the way it is. That's the way it's set up. The commissioner's responsible for the chief. You dealt with what you dealt with, and he's part of your cabinet, but you deal with it. You got to manage it.
Yeah. Understand there's crafting of a city charter amendment underway with the administration. Brother Nick, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that with regards to the mayor deciding that he's no longer satisfied with the performance of the chief of police, I mean, that's an option the mayor can take at any time. And with regards to city charter amendments or thoughts about reforming the police commission, its function, its role, appointments, political, non-political, the public can have that discussion and have those votes at any time. The real minefield here, from my point of view, that we can't get out of is the premature naming of an interim chief of police. I think that was the biggest hurdle in the whole process, and we're never going to be able to get over it. And it goes without saying that we've disagreed with Chief Moskowitz on the Big Island regarding certain things that he's done as the chief of police, certain decisions he's made. If you sat him down in this room, he would agree that we have disagreed on many occasions. But at the same time, unfortunately, the way this all unfolded, he got put into a corner that he just couldn't get out of. And I think we can all say that fairly, all right? Judgments aside, differences aside, we can all say that he got stuck in a position that he just couldn't get out of. And it's extremely unfortunate that it unfolded that way, because I don't think any city administrator, regardless of what your opinion of them, deserves to get stuck in that corner.
I love the fact that all of our gentlemen have consented to stay with us until 2 o'clock this afternoon, because I don't think 6 minutes remaining will be sufficient. Ken, I'm just going to ask you just a very quick question and then turn it over to the boys for some final thoughts. Ken, is there going to be a job description or bullet point objectives that Interim Chief Vanek must address that is recommended by the Police Commission?
That's a great lead-in. So one of our agenda items at the top of the agenda for our next meeting this Wednesday is we're asking them for their strategic priorities for the next 3 to 6 months. And that's a way to make sure that we stay on task, that this isn't a placeholder position. It doesn't matter who's in the position. The work never stops. So there's an expectation that the department continues to move forward.
Final thought. The Police Commission, how do you see your role and the Commissioner's role in helping and assisting SHOPO in their representation of the men and women in uniform?
I think it's building a strong relationship where we don't hesitate to text or call each other if we have anything that we're thinking about that we need some clarity on. And that's going to be my main goal, is to make sure that we have that kind of open communication.
Thank you very much, Ken. Bobby, your thoughts as well along those lines. How do you petition, or how do you see the Police Commission assisting you in your objectives?
Well, we definitely understand the process moving forward, and that it's going to be a process with many different facets, many different cuts of the pie on what's entailed with getting input from the community, input from the rank and file, vetting the candidate, dwindling down the list to like the final 5 or whatever the number is, and making the selection. So we will definitely do our due diligence on speaking on behalf of the rank and file on who we, believe would be a good fit to lead the department forward.
Thank you very much, Bobby. It's so good to see you. Thank you much. We have literally just about 10, 15 seconds for each. Love to get at least a final thought in before we go. Brother Mark, would you lead us off at 7:58?
I'd like to thank the chief/commissioner for coming. I mean, I think more of the commission needs to get out and, like what you did, I commend you for coming here and talking with us and the public. Appreciate it.
Brother Steve.
Yeah, sure. So the purpose of the SHOPO Hour is to try to come here and talk things related to public safety and make the community feel more connected. I think with retired Chief Ken, current leader of the Police Commission, coming here today, he helped us educate and inform the community. We appreciate him for that.
Thank you, Brother Steve. Brother Nick, final thought.
Thank you, Chair Silva, for being here, sir, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
I appreciate the brevity. I appreciate, gentlemen, this entire program. SHOPO Hour. Thank you so very much. Brother Ken, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much. All the best to you both in all that you endeavor. Thank you, folks, for being a part of the program. That takes us right up to 8 o'clock right now on KHVH.